Noel Nation, welcome into another episode of the Renegade Rundown. As always, my beautiful co-host, to my right, I guess it would be your right, Jen Santy, aka Jen Noel 2013 on X, at Jen Santy 1890, and below me, our good friend Troy Godinet, aka Coach over at Reading PA. He's one of my favorite people on Twitter. If you're not following him over there, we'll get him to let you know his exact at, and we'll get it down in the bio so you can go follow him over there. What's going on, Coach? Man, we really appreciate you coming on and providing us a high school perspective. Kind of this crazy world of recruiting and NIL and the transfer portal, and everything going out there in college football, from the high school level to that area.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Thank you for having me on. Now I respect what you guys are doing. So you guys put out good information. We all know nation, no fans, and things of that nature. But I'm just out here grinding, man. Going into a third year as a head coach. Obviously, the recruiting landscape has changed drastically, um, and just learning and building those relationships takes a lot of work. So we're just out here working, trying to build our brand and build our program to be the best that we can be.
Absolutely, man. And I guess to start with, the coaching carousel is something that's been going on in college football here the past couple months. It's one of those things that happens, and really, I guess one of the first opinions I'd like to get. What do you tell your kids when, we'll start at a situation like Alabama to where, you know, it was after signing day when they made their change. So, bam, that's why unfortunately you see kids leaving. They have that 30-day window. How frustrating is that as a head coach? You could have a guy committed somewhere and you've done everything you could. You've met with the coaches, you went on visits, you did this and that, and then bam, that relationship you spent all that time building is gone and there's a new head coach. Like, that's got to be tough, how to communicate with your players in situations like that.
I think for us, our kids are used to kind of battling adversity and things of that nature. So obviously the relationships matter and it's always going to matter in recruiting and as a coach when you're building those relationships for recruiting. Um, but I always even when I was getting recruited or when I got advice from college coaches when it came to recruiting or talking to the kids and things of that nature, like you're not just going to your school based upon the relationship you have with that kid, but that school. What do you want to do? If it's a 40-year plan, you really have to think about what that school is providing for that 40-year plan, and that's what you want to be committed to and building your brand for yourself and the excellence within that aspects.
For sure, man. I mean, do you have to beat the kind of NIL people off with a fly swatter? For a long time, this thing was kept, the facade was kept up. It's all academics. You worry about the NFL when you get to that level, but 99% of these people go pro in something other than the NFL. But it's to the level where these high school kids, you start getting up into 4-star territory, you got a serious chance to make a living, and put some money away while you're at college. I wonder, how that communication goes at a high school level. Like, do you have to watch out for bad apples? Do those conversations go on with high school coaches about, well, if I go here, I can make this. If I go there, they're offering this, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, currently, I'm not dealing with that situation right now. We're not at that point yet in our program. But I think that even if we're not at that point, the things you want to teach your kids is just surround yourself with the right people. And when you're building that relationship as a head coach with your kid, your kid's naturally going to trust you in the direction that you're putting them in. And you just hope that they can take your advice and things of that nature. And it's crazy because, like, in society in general, like we're expecting kids at a younger and younger age to make adult decisions, and I think that's what is a frustrating part in all aspects of people who are trying to change kids' lives and push them in the right direction. But we really don't have an understanding of those things, right? Because I didn't have social media, I didn't have that cell phone access, I didn't have to make those decisions of push and send or not when I was a younger kid. Um, I didn't have the kids and the people in my ears trying to get money from me in the back end. I was blessed enough to really just have people in my life that wanted to guide me and bless me like with pure love. And I think that as long as you're doing that and the kids can be receptive of what you're giving them and things of that nature, but it's just is getting to the point where relationships still matter. Like as you see, like a kid may make a decision based upon money when he's younger, but we're seeing with the transfer portal. Okay, when that second time comes around, he's going to build. They're going to really trust those relationships.
Absolutely. It's like you right where I was thinking of going with the next question. You kind of hit the nail on the head because the transfer portal is there. In that nightmare situation I brought mentioned, like, yeah, you really want to enhance those relationships in the recruiting game. That's super important because if something happens like that over at Alabama happened, and that's just one example. I'm just saying that's one example where a coach left, and they have that 30-day period. Well, guess what? You can portal out, and if you still had that second best relationship, and you made that relationship with a coach throughout your process, you have opportunity to go. You're not locked into one specific area. But Jen, did you have any questions, particular, just anything you're wondering about high school recruiting? Just
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah. Do you have like a social media policy for your kids during
That's a
school?
great one.
We actually do like a social media training, honestly.
Okay.
So we start doing kind of like a professional development aspect with our program where our kids are seeing how to post things, how to communicate with coaches, and stuff of that nature. And like a kid will also double check with me before he sends something and things of that nature. It's just important in that communication aspect of your growth in general. So, yeah, we definitely do stuff like that.
Yeah, man, that this social media, this day and age, that's a whole nother thing, like you talked about. When I was in school, not to age myself, but we had MySpace. So did some
Oh
stupid stuff on there, but
Yeah.
luckily those
well.
servers got shut down. I don't know how long ago, so you can't even look that stuff up. I don't think anymore. But yeah, that's got to be a challenging experience, especially in school. I couldn't imagine what it's like in today's day and age with social media. But
Yeah, I
at the end,
mean,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
kids. No, I was just gonna say, kids can get drafted in basketball, football, and those reporters are going through their tweets from 4 or 5 years ago. It's crazy. Just yeah, they. I'm glad that you do have that training because they. I have young, well, not young. I have older children, and I have one she's 16, and then I have a 21-year-old, and I try and tell them all the time jobs will go through your social media, colleges go through your social media. It could be you in between a spot between you and somebody else, and your social media may push either you over the line or someone else in front of you. So I always try and ask that question if we're talking for, especially for these high school recruits, because they think of it as everybody else is on social media. This is just what kids do. And what they don't realize is their one tweet can get 200,000 views in a second.
Absolutely. And just to let the audience know, we've only got Coach Godinet for about a half an hour, so we're going to grill him with some questions. We're kind of rapid fire here, but we really super appreciate his time. And when he gets off, don't forget all the latest breaking news with Noel Nation, and we got some fun stuff to talk to you about with Jen. But just really wanted to get a super inside take and kind of a real look at what high school recruiting is like in these days and what it's like from that high school perspective. Now, we had a commit at Florida State. His name was Landon Thomas. He was the number one tight end in the entire nation last year. He went through all the camps, did the whole thing. Big time tight end. I'm sure you've heard of him, being a somewhat fan yourself. Well, he committed to Florida State. He flipped from Georgia. He was done with his process. He was ready to go to Florida State. He's on, the Florida State lifting plan. He's one of these guys. You don't have to worry about it. He's got his little booklet you're allowed to hand out. So he's ready to go to Florida State. He's committed, the whole deal. Well, since he doesn't go to 247 this, rivals that, and they came out and said as much in a tweet, his stock takes a hit and he drops to like whatever, 19th tight end or something. He's a 4-star, but he was a 5-star, all this stuff. And one of the reasons they named, on top of him not going to the camps, was him not being, solely focused on football. He played other sports. And to me, I thought that was like an affront. I thought that was something that high school coaches wanted. Obviously, you don't want something that compromises the football season, but multiple sports. The Book of Five Rings by Mitsuhashi Miyamoto. I try to say that. I ruin it every time. It's like do difficult things and learn how to do them, and like do all things in life that same way. It's a really way to be. And I've always believed that. Some of our greatest athletes have been multiple. Is there pressure to focus kids and only have them one sport and do football year round? Or do you still think it's good for these high school athletes to play basketball and play baseball?
Well, I think that you want kids to have a football mindset all year round, right? And in any program, you want them to think about and work on the things that they want to be skillful at and be the best them at that. But you gotta know where your money is at the end of the day. But like I've always been a component of pushing kids to play multiple sports because I feel like just in the building and in our high school, I think that all programs have been successful and kids have been successful when they've been playing multiple sports. It just helps you in all aspects of your game, and not even that, just your life in general, because you have different coaches and different voices pushing the same message upon you, right? And that just generally comes down to the relationship of the coaches in the high school as well. Um, and recruiting has changed a lot in that aspect too, because I mean, kids are getting evaluated younger now. So a kid going into ninth grade, right? Kid hits ninth grade, he might have 10 offers, right? And that's just based upon the potential alone. That doesn't mean that they're committable, right? But I mean, kids are getting evaluated younger, and I mean, you want your kids to be exposed to the best of their capability, right? And you want them to see you go against elite talent, especially if you play in a conference that's known to be a little bit weaker than some other conferences, because that might hurt your recruiting in some senses, right? And your rankings and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, you just need that one team to fall in love with you. And if you camping at the schools helps a lot and things of that nature. But it's so crazy now because a lot of kids camp themselves out. By the time they get to the season, they're burnt out because they're so much worried about recruiting and things of that nature, and they're going to 8 camps in the summer, 10 camps in the summer. Like my advice would just be go to the camps of the people who really are showing that they want you, and it's not just because of you proving yourself to them, but in the recruiting process, it's also them proving themselves to you. You know what I mean? Like
Facts.
you are also you are your brand, so like you have to evaluate them just as much as they're evaluating you.
Facts, man. And you said something in there that's really great. And also, before you answer it, can we let the people know? I guess I had some questions. I don't know if I didn't do a good enough intro, but if you wanted to let people know who you are and I'll give you a chance to do that.
My name is Troy Godinet. I'm head coach of Reading High School in Reading, Pennsylvania. Entering my third season now, developing program, building program. Uh, I came back to the city in 2018 after graduating from Mansfield University. I just feel like we're living in God's purpose here as a staff and changing kids' lives as much as possible. And we're seeing the buy-in from Football House changing kids' lives out here. So that's just what I'm doing. And that's just me. And just living my life with love and guiding kids to be the best that they can be.
Absolutely. I love it. And I'm a testament to it, man. Every second I've got to speak to this guy, he's been pleasant enough to speak to me on the phone a couple times. We've talked football in a couple of these spaces. Really extremely smart guy. And they're really lucky to have him out there and has an extremely, just a great opinion and viewpoint on this whole thing as a high school coach, the head coach of a high school program. But you spoke on something, and I'm sorry I'm hogging all the limelight here, Jen. I swear you can get the next
Oh,
3
you're
questions.
fine. You're fine.
But you spoke about non-committal offers, and it's something we go through at Florida State. We have trouble explaining to fans sometimes. We're not going to burn sources, et cetera, et cetera. But how hard is that to deal with when on 247 it says you have an offer, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's committable, and that's something that only the school and the kid goes through. How hard is that to I guess, navigate behind the scenes?
I think it just goes down to being honest, and you have to teach your kids the aspect of asking questions and making sure that you're honest and real with the coaches so they can be honest and real with you as well. Because sometimes those offers will come in to develop relationships with the high school and with the coach because they know talent's coming in the future and things of that nature. And sometimes it's just a, hey, we're interested in you. Let's see how you develop type of thing and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, transparency is key. So, like within making sure that your kids are grown, you have to make sure that they're able and willing to ask those tough questions to coaches and you as a coach as well. Like, hey, coaches, how interested are you in this kid and things of that nature?
It's like asking for a raise. It goes against human nature. It's not an
Yeah.
easy thing to do, man. Look, I'm about ready to run through a brick wall. Like I've already said it like 3 times on the show. I could talk to you all day about ball, man. But go ahead, Jen.
Well, I don't know how much you have to deal with this, but I'm sure you've got kids, that are ranked certain ways in the state for certain positions, right? How do you deal with kids who some services say are better than others? How do you deal with those types of egos in a room? Is that hard to deal with, or is that just come with coaching?
I think it just comes with culture, right? And building
Hmm.
selflessness. Like when you build a culture of competing, right? Like the selflessness gets put on the forefront. right? So you're building to help other people in your life. Like you're building to help the other younger kids be where you are at when it comes to the competition level. Because especially us as a building program, we want those kids to raise the floor, right? We want to raise the floor within our program so kids can get to where they want to be. So the egos and things of that nature, I don't think we really deal with that as much just because we're building as a program and they want to leave a legacy left behind to continue to be the best they could be.
That's awesome.
Facts. I imagine it's real easy at that level. I mean, shoot, a little bit of fame all of a sudden on one of those sites. You know, you have a big game. All the girls
Yeah.
at school are looking at you a little different. Everything's magnified on that level. But then, you know, you can get humbled real quick, or you can just become that guy at the next level. At the end of the day, I guess you are a fan of Florida State. Can you talk a little bit about Florida State, kind of as a fan, and what you think of Mike Norvell and what they've got going on over there?
And I just love the way that like they actually care like about the kids. Like you can see that they're really truly developing past the football field, and you can see it on the field, right? You can see the culture of them playing for each other, you know. And no matter what program you are, you're going to run into your situation where kids are going to do more and things of that nature. But like they do a great job, man. Like they built a program in their pace, right, and the way that they want to do it, and they trusted their process. And I think they just shown that you can develop what you want to develop if you do it the right way and believe in how you want to do it.
Well, you said the word develop, and that's one of the things, man. I heard a great kind of sermon you gave on the subject. But what can you tell people out there that kind of believe the naysayers and the hype? It's like evaluation versus mercenaries through the portal. There seems to be this kind of attitude or belief amongst a lot of the fan base, or people outside of the fan base, that Florida State isn't developing guys, since we take so many out of the portal, and we have so many all conference portal guys, and that's the majority of our draft guys this year just so happen to be out of the portal, even though they've been here for 4 or 5 years. What would you say to those people that Mike Norvell isn't a developer?
I mean, I think the proof is in the pudding, right? I mean, like Jared Verse, he wasn't the player he was in high school and when he was at Albany than he was when he was at Florida State. You look at somebody like Johnny Wilson, he really didn't have the interest like that coming out of the portal. And then Florida State took a chance on him because they believed in him and they felt like they can develop him, and they developed him. Like Deloach, right? That's a kid that people in our fan base were pretty much giving up on. And that kid just proved to be like a true a true leader, and he's going to get drafted. Like just look along every aspect. Darius Washington, nobody had him penciled in as a starter at the beginning of the year, right? And guess what? First team All ACC. That's development right there. And those guys are leaving the programs that they're leaving for a reason, right? They're not proven at the program that they're at, most of the time. And if you're just talking to the Jermaine Johnsons, like you hear when he's in his interviews and things of that nature, they're being developed at Florida State. But like we talked about before, it's not just in a football aspect. They're being developed in every aspect of their life.
Facts. Jen, did you have one?
Yeah. Is it hard when coaches want to come visit the school? Is it hard to plan that out? Like, is it hard to say, well, we have somebody coming in this day, and is that difficult for you to manage? Whether whoever it is, whatever the coach is, whatever the level of school it is that a distracting thing to deal with during season? So
not really, just because of number one, I think that like I work in the building, and then like our bosses are very understanding of the reason for those coaches coming into the building.
Okay.
I mean, the develop relationships part has been a challenge, but like you just got to work at it. Like it's not just about sending emails anymore. Like you got to attend functions, you got to attend clinics, you got to put the work in and physically with your feet on the ground build relationships. And then it's just an understanding, like communication, just like every other aspect of life. Hey coach, this time it'd be good, this time it'd be good. If they're in the area, they're going to see multiple schools as well. But communication is just key, and making sure you're not like overdoing it for the kid as well, just as much as it for yourself and the college coach.
Yeah, I guess that's what I was wondering. So for the kid, is it all right? So he's had to just say, we'll just just say 2 visits from 2 certain coaches. It doesn't have to be, you know, a Power 5 school. I mean, just any school, right? Any couple
Yeah.
schools. So just say a kid had 2 coaches come in. Do you say, oh, okay, well, he's already had 2 visits this week. That's a lot, kind of. So do you just then say, all right, well, if they want to come see him, this person, do you maybe spread it out a little bit more? Like maybe say y'all come back, or is that considered, would that be a slight to that coach? Like I'm just trying to figure out how those relationships
No,
work.
I think most of the time it's you put the kids in a situation and the time in a situation where it's not going to conflict with that. And also, like, as a young man, if you're willing, if you're choosing and making the conscious choice to go play college football, it's going to be strenuous, right?
Hmm.
So you also have to adapt to that. You have to be in meetings. It's important for you to meet these coaches and not pass up on opportunities to develop relationships with these kids, with these coaches, so you can make the decision best for you. You know, so and for us as a building program and new to our and trying to develop our program to be where it wants to be. Like every time a college coach comes into our door, it's a blessing, right?
Right.
And the kids don't take it as like they're very thankful. You know what I mean? They take every opportunity they can to talk to a college coach because it's not just good for them. It also looks good
Right.
for the kids coming up to know, hey, I had this school in here, that school in here today. You know, and we think we do a good job of marketing that as well because the
Yeah.
kids see that. So it's so much. It affects so much more in just one aspect when you think
Yeah.
about not just the kid, not just the school, but it's the community and the kids that are coming up within the youth program and the middle school program. They get to see like, hey, I can stay at this inner city school and still have the same opportunity as another school because let's be real, high school, where you go to school matters. The relationships that coaches have matters, you know? So as you're building your program, it's important to make sure that you're developing those relationships with coaches and making sure that they want to come into your school, right? And not feel slighted and things of that nature. So they continue to come back.
Yeah. Hey, George, I think we lost your sound.
Oh shit, I was muted. Excuse me. I was saying I don't think you could ever get a better answer to that question that Jen had. But you
Yeah.
spoke a lot about developing these relationships, and we only have about another 10, a little bit minutes left with Coach. So we're really getting the most out of this, man. His answers have been awesome. But like I said, you spoke a lot about development and developing relationships. Well, just as big and right there, equal with part and parcel with that is developing the player. And 2 of the biggest things out there is going to be your strength and conditioning, and the mental aspect of this game has really become more and more important as kind of the modern world has changed. And kind of what football means to people is a little bit different than what it meant to them in 1950, when it was more like a real analogous to war. But nowadays, just with strength and conditioning and getting these guys' bodies right and their minds right, how important is that at a high school level? And being able to evaluate that when you're looking at these different colleges and these kids have to decide on where to go.
Oh, I mean, it's huge nowadays, right? Because you're getting tested earlier. They're looking at your wingspan, your length a whole lot earlier, and they're starting the recruiting process a whole lot earlier. So it's important for you to make sure that you're continuing to help your athletes grow from a younger age, right? But you also don't want to do anything that's going to hamper their growth either, you know? So, I mean, just within the strength and conditioning program, like making sure you have an understanding of kids' weaknesses and where you want and their strengths and where you want to get them to and things of that nature. And also like pushing the kids to be the best them mentally as well. Cause like the strength and condition aspect doesn't just come from like on the football, strength, speed. People forget about the mental aspect of everything as well. And I mean, we live in a generation where everybody's a personal trainer, right? Everybody's
Yes.
develop a receiver. Everybody's pushing to do what they can do best. And I know we have our people that we trust, to do those things. Um, and then you have to make sure the kids buy into your program so they want to be around you as well. Like first and foremost, we have kids that do everything, but like if you want to win as a team, you have to train as a team, right? Because it's not just the physical growth, it's the mental aspect of being able to lean on your brother and things of that nature. And I think that's with every high school program. Some high school programs are different than others. Like you have your stuff early in the morning together. Coaches are gym teachers, or they are fortunate enough at some high schools to not have to work and they're just coaching, right? So then
Right.
first period is just football, and then or you lift after school, or sometimes it's in the middle of the day and it's spread out. But you always got to have like your team corporation of things. And we're getting to the point now where we're able to train like our middle school kids and our youth kids on a yearly basis. You know what I mean? And then it's just, I know I'm always say this, right? But it's important because we talked about multiple sports and we talked about the relationships. Like, you have to have relationships with everybody, right? And it's not just like the football coaches, right? It's the basketball coaches at the youth level. It's the coaches that are running track. You know what I mean? The wrestling coaches, because if your kids are multiple sport athletes, they want to see that you have that support for them to grow in every aspect. And the strength and conditioning part helps them with all of that, right? So you want to make sure that you're pushing your kids in the right way and not just saying, hey, make sure you're here squatting and things of that nature. Like, you want to make sure that these kids are developing fully as athletes nowadays.
Because I said so doesn't, it's just, it doesn't fly in 2024.
Nah, I mean,
Why
but
it does for me.
I mean, and to be honest with you, I think it all just depends on like your surrounding area and and the relationships you build with those kids, right? Like, I think that's just a huge part of it. You know, do they trust you? Do they feel like they're gonna, if you have a basketball player that comes and trains with you, right? And then you see him dunking a year later, you're like, holy crap, maybe I should play football. You know what I mean? So now he's in that strength and conditioning program with you, and now he's playing receiver for you, and then he's on the basketball court, you know what I mean, doing amazing things as well. Um, and that's just how it is. It just all comes down to relationships. Even when it's in strength and conditioning, like, the kids have to trust you, right? And the community has to trust you, and the parents have to trust you with the kids in your hands.
Absolutely. Jen, did you have anything else?
No, I think
Okay, well, we
you
got a
answered my stuff.
few more minutes before you get out of here. I just wanted to give you a chance. What's your kind of your field of specialty? I know you're the head coach, but when you position coach, like what's your position that really sits on with you? Is it offensive line?
No,
Where are we at on that?
I played like rover, like in college. I played linebacker, weak side linebacker. So I played linebacker in college, a little bit of safety. Um, I coached linebackers and I was defense coordinator before I became a head coach. So the defensive side of the ball, but like just the love and the passion is there for linebackers always. You know,
Have you been able to see Cam Riley? Any footage on him, the Auburn linebacker that FSU is looking at?
no, I haven't been able to see any film on him and things of that nature. I just see some people saying he's too big to play linebacker. So listen, I played with a kid that was 6'4", that played linebacker next to me. He went to Miami, and he was a special player. So, I mean, if you can play football, you can play football.
That's my thing. And that's kind of one of the gripes that people around Knoll Nation is that Randy Shannon really has a size that kind of is his prototype that he goes after. But the guy's 6'4", 242 pounds. They say, and I was thinking he was a defensive end more. It was going to be kind of that defensive end, or can he play the coverage? But we had a guy on here saying he played like safety in high school, and he really is rangy at that size. So I'm all about it. Like you said, if he can play, get in here, and we'll talk more about him later on in the show. But yeah, I think we've got most of the main stuff. Is there anything you had on your mind you wanted to talk about before we wrapped it up with you
No, man,
in particular?
it's just like great, to see Florida State where they're at right now. I respect that coaching staff a lot. I know everybody comes at them for the recruiting and things of that nature, but I mean, let's be honest with you. How many times have we talked about how good North Carolina State's defense is and things of that nature?
Facts.
Their linebackers,
Continuity. Speak
yeah,
on that. There's something you can speak on. Like continuity matters. People like it's nothing that we kept this staff together. How many coaches have been 5 years? Like, I mean, Mike Norvell is climbing up that stack really fast.
yeah, and I mean it just matters because now you have and in your development, right? In your development, like, that constant voice actually it matters. Like, that same person helping you throughout the whole process from your freshman year to your junior year, it helps you. You know what I mean? And that's important. And I think that the staff has done a good job of Mike Norvell has done a good job of keeping his staff together. But obviously, you want your guys to elevate, right? And even in high school, you want to put your guys in position to be head coaches and coordinators at other schools and things of that nature. Because at the end of the day, this is all about relationships and growth, right? It's all about relationships and growth and guys getting opportunities for their family and themselves and their dreams and their aspirations. And I mean, our leader is a great leader. Like, it's a proud moment to be a Noel fan. And I mean, my first year as a head coach, man, I it's funny. I used half of my football paycheck to take our kids down to the UF game. We left Thanksgiving night. We went down to the Florida State UF game, and that was an experience that not only myself that I'll never forget, but those kids, like being up here, then going down to that environment, they're like, holy crap, like this is different. Like they're doing the chop, and it was just amazing to see. And the hospitality down there from those guys is great, you know. And it was just an overall great experience, man. It was like a dream come true being an up north guy, you know, just watching Florida State on TV all the time, actually going down there and being in Doak and feeling that environment, man. And it was great, you know. So
I
that's
love it, man.
going to stick with me for the rest of my life.
Absolutely, man. That's beautiful. That's a lifetime memory right there for you and your family. I know you'll probably be too busy. We probably won't get to see you for the spring game, but hopefully, who knows? Maybe you and your family can work out where y'all can get down. Definitely holler at us. Let us know if you get to make it to Tallahassee. We'll definitely come say hey. But I know you've got that meeting coming up. We're already a little over what we planned on doing, but man, we sure appreciate you coming through. Man, it was an excellent conversation. I can't wait till you have more time to come on here because like I said, I could talk to you all day, man. Great answers.
I appreciate it, man. You guys are doing a great job. I respect it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Have a good one. Happy Sunday.
Yep. Happy Sunday.
Wow, man, that guy is super, super intelligent. Like you said, head coach out there at Reading, PA. He's got a meeting with his offensive line coming up. It was really awesome for him to come in here and talk. There was another coach, a head coach at a school out in California that was supposed to come in. He had something coming up. Maybe we can reschedule and get something going with him. But we really wanted to get that kind of inside information from a head school coach, high school coach, and kind of give you that idea of what it's like from their perspective and really put some perspective on some of this stuff we talk about all day, every day with this NIL and stuff. But Jen, how are we doing, baby? Amari Williams, 4-star athlete, number 6 athlete in the nation, but we know he's a defensive end from the Benjamin School, North Palm Beach, Florida. He signs with Florida State over Alabama and Auburn to be our 26th blue chip recruit for the Tribe 2024 cycle. You heard that right, 26th. That's a record, by the way, in the Big Three. The most ever blue chips brought in a single year by one of the teams in the Big Three being Florida, Florida State, and my Crammy or Cry Miami, whatever you want to call it. Cry-Miami, whatever you want to call those suckers. But yeah, absolutely killing it on the trail. One of those guys is a preferred walk-on, and Trevor Jackson. The story goes on and on. But yeah, Amari Williams, that's just a huge, huge, huge land. I couldn't be more excited for him and just what the doctor ordered. Kind of, especially since you lose that, whatever that sapsucker is that flipped back to Miami. It just kind of really fills out the class. So how are you feeling about it?
I love it. I mean, I was apparently he signed his letter in December, so I'm surprised nobody leaked it. But
right?
Yeah,
my goodness, all this time.
Yeah,
give yourself a hand,
great.
FSU media.
Yay! So,
man, that's all it takes. I mean, everybody kind of knew. It was kind of known. Those inside circles knew he was a Nole. There was even rumors of maybe silent commit here or there, but nobody leaked, hey, there's a signed letter with Amari Williams on it, yada yada. So that's all it takes. Everybody can share their news and everything, and Mike Norvell and the staff can keep it pushing. I absolutely love how that played out. You love to see a plan work out to perfection. And there's another plan about a linebacker. We caught a lot of flack for being so damn pumped up about Sean Murphy from Alabama because, he doesn't have any stats. Even though the whole thing is you don't develop nobody and you only bring in mercenaries, even though the opposite is true, as we've proved. Now they're like making fun of us for doing the same exact freaking thing we've done the past 2 or 3 years. It's ridiculous. But long story short, we mentioned it a little bit earlier, 6'4", 242 pounds. Cam Riley is an all SEC linebacker out of Auburn. I believe he's a senior, and he's on campus at Florida State. What, right now, Jim? How are we feeling on that one? You heard anything? Any whispers?
I have not heard anything. 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 I have not heard any I'm just looking at what Noel Nations put in the chat, talking about how Adam Fuller's the Boston College head coach. Has anybody told Boston College?
Right? Somebody better tell them.
Somebody needs to tell Boston College because they're thinking it's going to be Bill O'Brien from Ohio State.
Oh no.
What?
Well, I changed the thumbnail, but you just tweeted it, and it's the old one. Uh-oh. I guess maybe I didn't change it. So sorry, guys. It's just Coach Goden. There's no other guest. If it shows there on the thumbnail, another guest. Just Coach Goden. But yeah, I think, and again, with no inside intel attached to this, no guarantee or anything like that, I feel really, really, really good about Cam Riley. I have not heard like he's a silent or he's guaranteed or anything like that. But what I also haven't heard is any other big names. And one thing we know about this staff, when they get a guy on campus 9 times out of 10, one of these priority transfers, they usually knock him down. If we see him take a visit somewhere else, then you can start worrying. But I'm pretty sure that Cam Riley has a good shot of being a Noel. I don't know if anybody's put any crystal balls yet, but we will definitely keep you up to date on that. And I think it would just be an absolute home run. I mean, you get Cam Riley in, and I don't think there's really much of anything you want left. I think you pretty much absolutely nailed this transfer portal haul. The defensive end, that solves the gripes. I mean, obviously you want it to continue and get better, but bam, you knock down the blue chip defensive end. If you can land an experienced linebacker, I mean, we already told you guys to book, your hotels in North Carolina for the championship game. Let me tell you something. If we can land an experienced linebacker, that experienced linebacker, to where you can come in and have DJ Lundy and another guy come close to what you had last year. I don't know. I'm really getting hyped up for what the season could possibly be if we can end up getting that linebacker position filled out. Because safety, you bring back Shaheem Brown, you bring back Conrad Hussey for year 2. We all saw what Ashland, Maryland looked like last year. Better and better and better. I mean, and the DB haul we brought in this year, I mean, stop it. It's like things are getting really, really, really exciting. Everybody wants to see slippage. Everybody wants to see, Miami have a year off. Or Miami have a year off. They want to see Florida State have a year off. Miami thinks it's a good idea to schedule their fucking homecoming for when we head to Doak South in October. What do you think about that shit? I know you've seen that on the timeline. I mean, homecoming.
I love it.
The last time we were there, 45-3, and they thought it was a good idea for us to go homecoming in Miami when Florida State comes to town.
We're talking about a team that wore glow-in-the-dark jerseys when they didn't know how to take a knee against Georgia Tech. Their aesthetics is not always their strong point.
No.
Doing the Roger Rabbit while losing to FAU was, I thought, a down point.
Is that what that shit's called? Is that the Roger Rabbit?
Yeah. I guess that's what it was. I don't really remember. But it was something like that. I thought they couldn't get any more pathetic than that. But then they put on big highlighter uniforms. Maybe that was their trick-or-treating uniform. Maybe
not the big highlighters.
Maybe they were dressed as big highlighters for the Georgia Tech game. But I just they're ridiculous. Then it was the Bogots. Then it was, you can't make this shit up. And now it's, let's really give Florida State bulletin board material, as if our ridiculous fans don't do it all year. Let's schedule them as a homecoming. Yes, Brad, they have had 23 years off. You're right.
Meanwhile, these bozos early yesterday morning, I'm not trying to hate the kid. I'm not going to say anything. I don't even know his name. But some unranked kid out of Tallahassee apparently signs with Miami, and they're up and up. Woo, we stole one out of your backyard, boy. It's a sad day up there. You go 13-1. You can't even sign a kid out of your backyard. Meanwhile, we go and take a 4-star, like literally hours later, out of their backyard, who really, let's be real, Amari Williams is a 4-star in this ranking, but you, me, God, everybody knows he's a 5-star, okay? He reclassified. He didn't have a chance to up his ante. He didn't have a chance to go through all the camps, like the other kid did that reclassified at the beginning of the year. It's a different situation, whatever. If he has to redshirt, bam, whatever. You got a 5-star coming in that's already had a year in a college program in 2025. So yeah, sit on it and spin, dude. I'm not worried about Miami and their dumbasses. I really can't believe homecoming.
I love it.
Homecoming.
Like I said, we're talking about a team that thought it was a great idea to put on their best big highlighter uniform on Halloween and go lose to Georgia Tech because you forgot to take a knee. They went out there looking like they were glowing in the dark and lost. And then now they want to make they want to make themselves a laughing stock again by making this homecoming. I don't understand it.
Yeah, and then they say, "Oh, we shut down our recruiting. We shut it down. We shut down our recruiting after we landed Blunt." Like, okay, say whatever you want. Amari Williams wasn't being recruiting by me. Okay, good. That's great. Well, guess what? He's at Florida State, just like the other 25 blue chips we got. How many did y'all get? Oh, yeah, that's right. I thought y'all had 15 3-stars in your class. Get the fuck out of here.
Meanwhile,
Of course, he's
2 weeks
watching from Twitter.
ago, a good old Moobs Tits McGee was like on the phone with Cam Ward, offering him his like every grandson he could ever have if he could come, just save him 1 year. Just save me 1 year because no quarterback wants to play for me for God knows what reason.
It's going to be such a nightmare. It's such a nightmare. And this guy saying, "Oh, and y'all didn't recruit Booker Pickett." Yeah, we recruited him. Who said we didn't? Once, a guy decides to go to Miami, you realize, we're going to move on to the next guy. And no, he wasn't at the top of our board. Everything that was said about him was true. These people, they just got their feelings hurt. They think whatever, unranked better than this. They can't. It is what it is. But what I will say is, holy shit, we had our third junior day, quote unquote, junior day weekend at Tallahassee. And I can tell you right now, I would name like the recruits that came through out of the 2025 class, but basically it would be a shorter list of who didn't come. Star-studded. Just guys out of everywhere. One of the big names, Gavin Nix. I think he's like the best linebacker in the nation, but what they're doing right now in high school recruiting is unreal. We've been saying it a lot. We've been saying it over and over again. 2025 is going to be their year. 2025 is when high school gets ratcheted up to the next level. What I'm here to tell you, are you paying attention? Are you paying attention? Because it's happening. And if you'll give me a minute, I'll pull up the list that I've got stowed away here somewhere, and I will read through some of the names that came through this weekend and some of the guys that I'm really excited about. But what I'm going to do right now before I turn it over to Jen is put the number up on the screen. So we're a little bit early, but we were supposed to have guests a little bit longer. So we're going to go ahead and put the number up on the screen if you guys want to call. Y'all have been kind of shy lately. I don't know what it is, but it's Sunday Fun Day. If you have any questions for me and Jen, if you just want to make fun of Florida, you want to make fun of Miami, whatever the case may be, you know the number. Down. It's right there, 850-495-1906. Call in and get yourself live on the Renegade Rundown with George and Jen. But what's Jen got on her mind? I know Petty is your favorite color. I know we've went through some of the stuff, but what's caught your attention? What are you thinking about here?
I'm interested to see what was your favorite memory of Bill O'Brien as the Ohio State offensive coordinator.
My favorite memory of Bill O'Brien as the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. How long did it last? 2 weeks?
Is it 2 weeks?
2 weeks. So is that official? I know that was
not official. It's
okay.
Not official,
Well, let the folks know. We can talk about that since somebody brought it up, and they think Adam Fuller is going to Boston College. What are your feelings on that? Is first of all, is Adam Fuller going to Boston College? And who if not him, who do you think leads it?
I don't think so. I think right now, I think Bill O'Brien leads it. I think Bill O'Brien leads that. I think it's not like a destination job, right? And he just got the Ohio State offensive coordinator job. That can obviously change. And I really wouldn't count out Paul Chryst in this one. I think Paul Chryst is number 2 for them.
Bring the option up there.
Yeah, I think you're looking at like a Bill O'Brien, Paul Chryst type situation.
Talk about two different coaches.
Yeah, and then they could go internal.
Bobby, Florida. Make fun of Florida.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, if you're gonna like put a gun to my head and force me to, how terrible. But I mean, I also, or I could see them going internal. I could see if Bill O'Brien doesn't work out, that they just go internal and not lose like the Castellanos, those type players to the portal. That's what I could see.
Yeah, Castellanos, whew, they got to keep him. If they got a chance to keep
Mhm.
him, do whatever they can. That's why it sucks. Halfley got his guy, and it was too late. He was already fired. If he could have had him in year one, he might have could have done something there.
Well,
Jeff
Halfley
Hill,
left.
the who makes it rain, the dude who always comes in here with these super chats. We appreciate you, brother. Is that for real? Miami, did they really put us at homecoming? I know they're stupid, but they can't be that stupid. The answer, Jeff Hill, yes. It's very
Yes,
much
they are.
true.
Yes,
Yes,
they are.
they're that
Yeah.
stupid. They want us
Bobby,
the
let's
Seminole
get-
Hard Rock Casino. I guess what they mean is it's our homecoming when we go down there. That's all they could possibly mean, Jeff.
Can we ask a rational Miami fan, since Bobby's in here? Bobby, what are your thoughts about putting Florida State, who the last time I was in that building, beat y'all 45-3? What is the reaction of you for Miami to then put Florida State as homecoming? Don't we think that this is a little bit of too much bulletin board material? Or do you love it? Do you love the pettiness of it? Because you know what? If it was, I mean, I would be fine with Florida State putting Miami as homecoming. To be real, I would. I'd be totally fine with it. But you've also beat them
It happened.
3 years in a row. Yeah,
It happened. So yeah,
yeah.
they're
So,
crazy. For us, it maybe makes sense. For them, not so much. Not so much.
okay,
Not so
he
much for
says,
them.
yeah. I agree with you, Bobby. I like it. You're calling your shot. I do like it, but I think when you lose 3 in a row, I think that's a
Yeah.
Your
head is right. His head says, God, I hope they know what they're doing. And
yeah,
no, they don't know what they're
Yeah.
doing. Yeah, they're poking the
Now,
bear, and it's a mistake.
If they win, the fan in me would say, "Well played." That's what I would do, because
Well, yeah, hindsight's 2020. I mean, of course,
yeah,
for sure.
I just don't think it's going to end well. I don't think it's going to end well.
No. We'll see. We shall see. Cam
Mhm.
Ward, we talked about it at length on this show. I feel like
Yeah.
it's the worst possible situation he could have picked, and he picked it. So we'll see. Maybe not. I can't wish good for him though. I hope he's healthy. Has a bunch of stats, and they don't win a single game somehow. But I wanted to run through some of these lists of some of the guys that's just been on campus here today, the last couple of days, and I want to give a big shout out to Patrick Burnham over at Osceola, because this dude, if you're on Twitter, he's been burning up the streets. Like, he's ridiculous. Every single kid that like shows up on campus publicly, he's got the picture, he's got the info on the stuff. He's been absolutely killing it. And I invited him on the show. I'm hoping we can get him on here to talk recruiting one of these days. But anyways, just looking out just from today, the guys that are showing up for the last day of the third official visit weekend. 2025 wide receiver Caleb Cunningham. Let's see, 2026 4-star O-line Desmond Green. 2025 wide receiver Kobe Howard. He was on campus yesterday. I'm not sure if he's here yet today, but this is a guy out of Chaminade, Madonna. And when you talk to the top experts, I believe it was still Steve Wiltfong said yesterday, Kobe Howard and Jamie French Jr., another guy that Florida State is extremely high on, has been recruiting for a long time, and with Nick Saban moving on, is favored. I don't think I have a crystal ball or anything like that, but if Florida State can do the right things and fix a couple little hiccups here and there, but behind the scenes, Jamie French very well could be a Knoll. So to have Kobe Howard on campus, big. Yesterday, 2025 offensive lineman Card Smith, 2026 DN Cam Brooks, 2025 offensive lineman Trent Turner, 2025 running back Strawn Simeon, 4-star D-line prospect Trent Wilson, 2025 defensive tackle prospect Trajan Odom, who is just an absolute monster, big-time player. Of course, our quarterback Tramel Jones Jr. It's been just an absolute waylaying of guys. So I couldn't be happier. What do you think, Jen? You think we're going to get a top 5 class this year going around? I just don't see how it doesn't happen.
Well, I guess wake
And
me
I
on the.
misspoke on Trammell. He was at SFE. Him and Jamie French just won a big 7-on-7. So, but he wasn't here. But the first 5 or 6 names. Sorry.
I don't know. I guess wake me during the signing week.
Right. That's pretty much how it is nowadays, huh?
Yeah, no offense. I love hearing about it. I love talking about recruits when they commit, and I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm not going to guess what type of class we're going to have until the week of early signing period, because stuff changes too much. It does.
Oh, there's no doubt, without a doubt. Did you have something you were wanting to talk about? What can we talk about?
Let's see.
Don't forget, guys, the number's on the screen. I don't know. You guys used to blow our phone up. I couldn't even hardly keep it. Now we got 150 people in here. The calls just don't come in. We love you guys. We swear we don't bite. Okay, look. How's it going, Smokezilla? We appreciate you guys. Bobby, if you don't know, Bobby on Twitter is the how does he put it?
The
rational Canes fan, I think is what he says. Yeah, so go follow him. If you want to find a rational Canes take, Bobby will give it to you on Twitter. Yeah, homecoming. That's what I was getting at earlier, Jeremy. Homecoming for a stadium they don't own either. Yeah, basically that's it. It's a homecoming for us Seminoles because it is the Seminole Hard Rock Stadium, and it's Realistic Canes fan. That's what it is. Realistic Canes fan on Twitter. Go find Bobby. He's the man. But again, that line is open if you want to get a question in, 850-495-1906. And we are right here.
It's like having a housewarming party when you move in with your parents, isn't it?
What's that? Oh, yeah.
Said it's like
it's crazy. Yeah,
it's like having a housewarming party, and like all you did was move back in with your parents.
Like, why would not avoid this whole conversation? Like, why would you even, like, what would have to go through your mind to put that? Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
I would say that, like, they kind of live in this thing that, like, even bad publicity is good publicity, but this isn't even bad publicity. This is, like, just giving people the option to dunk on you. And I think if the inability to read a room was a person, I think Mario Cristobal would be, like,
he would be that person.
Like, I think it would be on a poster.
So,
because I really think he thinks it's cool. I think he thinks it's cool.
Do y'all know when the season opener single game tickets released? That is a good question. I do not know, but I can get back to you if you're a subscriber. I will put out a post here this week letting everybody know every bit of information they need as far as Dublin to get tickets and stuff. So that is a good question, Brenda, but I don't have the answer for you that offhand on that. But what I was about to transition to, the Senior Bowl, they named a quarterback or some shit the MVP.
Yeah.
But the announcers, the coaches, everybody in attendance pretty much came out with the same answer. Braden Fisk is it. Braden Fisk is the MVP of the game. He lived in the backfield, absolutely dominated. What do you think of his performance all week at the Senior Bowl? Pretty impressive.
I loved it. And I mean, I don't mind a quarterback being named MVP. It was Spencer Rattler, for anybody wanting to know. But I just didn't even see him put in an MVP performance. And I think it just seems like anytime a certain team, like, or a team wins, they want to make the quarterback the MVP. I don't know why. He wasn't terrible, but it just wasn't eye-popping. Like, there was nothing. Well, you know what? Considering what South Carolina's season was, maybe that was eye-popping for him.
And nice piece of information here by Jeremy Martin. Knowles fans and family, don't forget, Coach Martin Memorial will be Saturday at Dick Hauser, the baseball field over there. So everybody, if you can make it, if you're in the Tallahassee area or willing to visit, that's where that will be. And yeah, the defensive line MVP every year at the Senior Bowl is voted by the offensive line. So when the offensive line says Braden Fisk is the defensive line MVP, that goes to tell you right there how amazing he did, you know. And I want to read, while Mike Martin's thing is up here, we'll read what Mike Norvell said a couple days ago from his tweet. He said, one of the greatest evenings I've ever had since coming to FSU was sitting in a box with 11 for a game. His kindness and incredible spirit will be remembered forever. So grateful for getting to know such a wonderful man. Prayers to the family, friends, and loved ones. Hashtag rest in peace 11. So, yeah, that was really cool. Glad Mike Norvell got to spend some time with him and sit in the box with him and have that relationship to kind of continue that legacy, as we really believe Mike Norvell is one of those next coaches to stick around and be that next figurehead, even though, like we talk about all the time, it's rare. You don't get a Bobby Bowden. You don't get a Mike Martin Jr. You don't get a Leonard Hamilton to stick around for 20, 30 years anymore. So I hope we can at least keep him for 10, and who knows? Who knows where this thing could go with Mike Norvell? We can keep telling you guys, just enjoy it. Understand that where the trajectory is going, because it's not going down. It's going up, regardless of how much stuff we lost this year. When I say it's going up, we were pretty much perfect this year. It's hard to beat perfect. So will we maybe lose a game or two? It's possible. But guys, there's no rebuilding. It's reloading, and this team will be ready to compete for a playoff this year because it's a 12-team playoff. And come 2025, watch out. You're talking about, one of the top, 3 or 4 teams in the nation, and it's going to be hype all around the team, et cetera, as long as we can keep it together, as long as we all do our part. As long as you keep donating to the Battle's End if you can, upgrading them boosters, season tickets, all that good stuff. I know we've only got 50,000 tickets this year. The renovation is kind of a bummer. It messes some things out, but those 55,000 seats or whatever it is, them shits need to be full every week. Not like these Miami punks and all that shit. Fill up those 55,000, even if we are playing SMU or whoever the case may be, not just for Florida and Clemson. And that's what's happening. All this stuff, this fan love and all this stuff. There's the diehards like us, and I'm sure everybody watching right now. But there's also the bandwagoneers, and those bandwagoneers matter just as much as everybody. All of a sudden, have you noticed in Walmart, if you go there, there's a lot of Florida State shit out now. And 3 or 4 years ago, you couldn't find anything. All that stuff counts. All that merchandising sales starting to roll in. All of this, the fact that all these different podcasts are able to succeed. This is all limelight. This is all publicity for Florida State football, and it's all rolling one direction. And like I keep hammering, the continuity of the staff, the stick-to-itiveness of the staff to stay together. Florida State, and I believe it's Hootie Brown that pinned that, maybe that stick-to-itiveness from the old basketball games. But yes, it's really unreal.
Brown? Damn.
Yeah, I believe he's the one that came up with that.
That's an old school
stick-to-itiveness. But anyways, yeah, I mean, think around the nation. Think of how many coaches are left from that year that Norvell got hired. It's pretty much him, Lane Kiffin, and a couple others. And him and Lane Kiffin are in a pretty damn good spot to succeed. Thing is, Lane's probably going to have to leave Ole Miss. He doesn't have the ceiling there that he wants. He's probably going to end up leaving, like Jen likes to say. He would have crawled through broken glass to get that job at Florida State. And when they fire the lame duck Napier, yeah, or Miami, he would crawl through broken glass to get those. Yep, that's the second one I said. But yes, Mike Norvell stayed here. That's big. He's year 5, year 6, year 7. It's something that you have over everybody in the nation. And with Saban leaving and Michigan leaving, Harbaugh leaving Michigan, those are 2 big chess pieces off the table. When you look around, start looking around, guys. He's right. We're building the Death Star in Tallahassee. This thing is rolling. We didn't lose anybody out of this thing. We lost Marcus and Douglas. He's probably the top guy we lost, out of the transfer portal. Is Marcus and Douglas a good player? Yeah, absolutely. But what did we bring in? A guy in Landon Thomas who was the number 1 tight end until he stopped going to these camps and sucking ass to try to be, this or that. He was committed. He didn't need to. Year 5, guys, I'm telling you, year 5 is going to be great, but year 6, year 7, and year 8 are going to be even sweeter. And it doesn't matter who, one little thing you bitch about, one thing that doesn't go your way, that's fine. But this thing is heading in the right direction. And again, if you have any questions about anything going on with the transfer portal class, with scholarships, spring, if you're wondering about any particular positions, who's in the lead for this or that, who we see, making up this or that, whatever your questions are, get them in. The numbers on the screen, 850-495-1906. And we will answer your questions. Or if you've got a take or whatever, get those calls in. Nope, that's the same one from earlier.
Like, yeah,
Wishful
it is
thinking. I
real.
thought we had another super come in. Let's see. Josh has a question here. It says, which programs fall first from being relevant, Michigan or Alabama? That is a good one. I'll let you take that.
One, I don't think either. I think they're both in the Big Two, so I don't think it really matters. I also don't think that ESPN will let Alabama fall anywhere. I think no matter if Alabama loses 4 games, ESPN is going to tell us how let me think, how brave they were in each loss, how close it was, how it's showing the growth of their program, and how Kalen DeBoer is the next Nick Saban. Guys, I'm sorry, ESPN is not going to let out. Alabama could lose every game next year, and ESPN is going to tell us that it's because Florida State were meanies to them and made fun of them. You look, watch. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. It's going to be ridiculous. Like the excuses that ESPN is about to give Alabama. Michigan, I don't think falls off. They kept Sharon Moore. Sharon Moore won the big games instead of Jim Harbaugh last year anyway. I mean.
Yeah, I see Sharon Moore in Michigan being a Ryan Day, Ohio State situation where they're not going to drop off. It'll be a tiny thing where it's like, oh, all of a sudden now I think Ryan Day, you give him the edge. Because he stayed, and now it's Sharon Moore taking off, and he'll have to wait for Ryan Day to leave, and then maybe he can have his day on top.
Yeah, but like I said, I just don't think either one drops off because, like I'm saying, I think Alabama could lose 4 games, and ESPN is going to tell us how brave and brilliant they are for losing those 4 games. And
I was getting to Alabama. I was doing the Michigan first.
Oh, I know. I was just saying, and it shows what a great culture Kalen DeBoer has built. That they lose, and then they still persevere. It's just gonna be gross. Like y'all just watch. I'm telling you right now. I can see snakes. I can see snakes moving a mile away. I'm sorry. Go for it.
Yeah, no doubt. Kalen DeBoer, that situation, we've talked about it a ton. It's a weird situation. He's kind of cucked. It's the word that I use, and not trying to be nasty, but it just fits it perfect. As long as Alabama has Nick Saban in there, I agree with you 100%. You're going to see ESPN coming there to do a feature on all of his 7 titles and everything in this while they're trying to get weightlifting done. There's just a shadow that's 1,000,000 feet tall. And yeah, they're going to have, they're going to give him every excuse in the book. Well, they lost everybody in the transition, and Saban has a picture for the future. He's got it worked out. They're bringing in this or that assistant coach, all this stuff. They're going to give him every excuse in the book. But what's going to happen is, like you said, I don't know if you said it, but DeBoer's going to get axed, and they're going to bring in the real coach. And when they bring in the real coach, Saban's going to retire, and he's going to go to Lake Martin, and he's not going to have an office in the building anymore. Well, yeah, you just can't. Because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll still win. But if they're winning, it's because Nick Saban's still coaching. I'm telling you, somebody's going to have to bow. That's the only way that works. One of the two is going to have to bow, and I just don't see Nick Saban bowing to Kalen DeBoer. It's just there's a program in place. That's the whole point. They're trying to keep it. Maybe it can work. Maybe it can work.
I don't even think Alabama's going to lose 4 games next year. I think they lose maybe 2 to 3. I don't think it's going to be that big of a
I haven't looked at their schedule. So let's pull their schedule up.
Let's pull their schedule up. Let's take a look at this but even though I still think 2 to 3 regular season games, while ESPN is going to still be excited in a bathroom, like they're looking at someone else's magazines over it, I don't think the fans will be in that same mindset. The fans are not used to losing 2 to 3 regular season games. I'm not talking about a bowl game on top of that or a playoff game on top of that. I'm talking 2 to 3 regular season games, which for every other fan base would be like, you lost your coach, all the team to the portal, that's normal, right? That's a normal year. And truly that's something that everybody could live with, but Bama fans aren't Bama fans.
Yeah, so when you look at the schedule, and this is the big bad SEC schedule, and this is kind of my point to everybody every year that makes out like it's a completely different world than anybody else. Not everybody gets UF schedule. And on top of that, UF schedules 2 P5s on top of it for whatever reason. I love it. I'm glad we get to play them every year. But it's like those same UF people that schedule 2 out of conference games every year. They play Florida every year. This year they played Utah, and they play Georgia every year, and they play they play LSU out of the other side every year. They make it tough on themselves, right? But these same UF fans will sit there and argue till their face turns blue, telling you that the SEC shouldn't play 9 games because of the grind. And I sit here and I tell them, do you not know how stupid you are? If the SEC moved to 9 conference games, guess what? You would just stop scheduling Utah. You would stop scheduling whoever that other out of conference game is, and it would equal the schedules up. Because Kentucky wouldn't be able to schedule 4 cupcakes in a row before they play you, and they go into week 5 and kick your ass because they've been playing D2 schedules. Their entire fucking schedule is set up to beat Florida because Florida's too fucking stupid to schedule with half a fucking brain. Excuse my language, but it's just like, it's ridiculous. Schedule 9 fucking games or stop scheduling Florida State and another out of conference on top of LSU and Georgia. That shit ain't our fault, and that ain't all the SEC. That's just y'all's dumbass. So let's look at Alabama's schedule. They start off with Western Kentucky, 1-0. USF 2-0. Wisconsin, good chance they're 3-0. I don't know. They got Matt Rule, or am I thinking of Nebraska?
No, that's Nebraska.
Nebraska has Matt Rule. Who's got Wisconsin? They got Fickle.
Yeah, Fickle and Tyler Van Dyke is their quarterback.
They got Fickle. They got so maybe I'll say 3-0. Then they got Georgia 3-1. Vanderbilt 4-1. South Carolina 5-1. Tennessee, chance they could be good.
6-1.
Missouri, chance they could be good.
I think Missouri loses a lot.
Give me just 1 minute and we'll get you live on the air.
Okay. Missouri.
Oh, he's got the show on. You got to mute the show, buddy.
I think Missouri loses a lot. But I could be wrong. I'd still say
guys,
Alabama
when you
beats
call in,
Missouri.
you got to either have your headphones in or mute the show, or it doesn't work. It echoes on you. But where were we at? We were at South Carolina, 6-1. Am I correct?
Yep.
So then we go on to Tennessee. Tennessee, we'll call that a loss. It's probably a win, but it could go either way. After that, you got Missouri, same thing. Either way. LSU, Mercer, Oklahoma, and Auburn. I don't know. Georgia is a loss.
Yep.
Mark that down as a loss. Oklahoma, you could probably mark down as a loss. But outside of that,
no,
I don't know. It's open up.
100% no.
Oh, you believe in bowl games now?
Look, not that, but I believe in what I saw from Oklahoma last year. And no, I'd say Alabama's.
Last year they played like hell in the bowl game. They almost beat us. We were the number 13 team in the country, and they were in the situation we were with versus
Are you talking
Georgia.
about this year?
You just said last year.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about their last season.
Oh no, I didn't watch
Oklahoma
the recent
sucked.
bowl game. But we got beat 63-3 in our bowl game.
I'm talking also about the regular season.
They beat Texas.
Oklahoma sucked last year. They're awful.
Okay.
So yeah, I think Alabama beats Oklahoma. Yeah, 100%.
We can go back to that one, but I'm sorry. We found a good conversation here, but we'll let you get your question in before me and Jen go on with this one. You are live on the Renegade Rundown.
Yes. My name is Andre.
What's up, Andre?
Long time no. I've been there since '88, and yes, all I want to say is that Florida schedule. Billy Napier. Oh man, he might not be coaching by the 6 or 7 games.
He might check into like a mental facility after that November he's got coming on. I mean, it's tough.
I work with 2 Florida fans, and I'm just like, every day I'm like, good luck.
No doubt, man. But did you have a question for us?
Yes. I'm just like y'all. Why did Miami do that to themselves? Schedule us on for y'all homecoming?
Gluttons for punishment, Andre. They're gluttons for punishment. That's all I know. Well, we sure appreciate the call, man. Did you have a question or any other comment before we open the line back up, brother?
Oh man, just want to tell Jen I'm up here in Knoxville, Tennessee, and guess what? These Tennessee fans up here are delusional too.
Oh, I look. I already
Hey,
know.
go Noles and love the show.
Absolutely, man. Well, we
Thank
appreciate you,
you.
Andre. Call in anytime, brother.
All right.
Go
Thank
Knowles. Yeah, they're crazy, Andre. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. I don't know, but I guess we found a kind of I don't know. Is what's his name? What's Oklahoma's coach? Have we found another Hugh Freeze for you
No,
with
it's Brent
Oklahoma?
Venables.
Brent
It's
Venables.
Brent Venables. I'm sorry. They barely beat SMU. They did beat Texas. They lost to Kansas. They lost to Oklahoma State. Like, do I have to continue on this?
Yes, you just listed
Oh,
three
okay.
losses. What are you talking about? They beat Texas. And it's about next
Okay.
year. It's about next year that we're talking
Yeah,
about, mind
that's
you.
what I'm saying. And they lost their quarterback. Oklahoma
Right.
lost
So they're going
Dylan
into
Gabriel's
what? They're going into
in
what
Oregon.
year? They're going into what year? Year 3,
2024.
correct? Year
Yeah.
3 of Brent Venables' career, right? He won 5
Yeah.
games the first year. How many games did he win the second year? So where are
I
you
guess
projecting
10.
for the third year? You projecting him to get worse?
Yeah, they lost
You're
their
projecting him to
quarterback.
get worse.
Yeah,
Okay, that's
yeah.
fine. I'm not mad. I mean, it's just fun. We can do it. We can do it. We can have it. You'll probably be right about Auburn. I'm pretty good on this one.
I'm
So I
100.
feel like the trajectory
Look.
for Oklahoma is very, very good right now.
I do agree with that. I just don't think that Oklahoma is better than Alabama. I don't think their roster is better.
But
I don't think their roster is as deep. So
but
that's what I'm saying.
but Alabama hardly has a roster right now. Like they just like I mean you're projecting a lot. Like I'm not saying that you're going to be wrong. Alabama may have a better roster than them, but like
Yeah.
they're going to be counting on a lot of true freshmen and this and that. That's all I'm saying. They lost basically their entire 2023 recruiting class, 6 of them or 5 of them to us. There's a conversation to be had there for sure.
Yeah.
You can't just say either team's going to win. It just seemed like
Yeah,
you were a little heavier on the Oklahoma sucks ass than I am. Like I would be, if I was an Oklahoma fan, I would be feeling the same way I felt about Mike Norvell going into 2022. So that's pretty good.
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with Brent Venables. I just don't think that team is that great, especially losing Dylan Gabriel. That's what I'm saying.
I guess I just don't think Dylan Gabriel's that good. I guess, but he was talented.
I didn't think so either, but I mean, I didn't lose to Kansas in football either. So
Kansas is really good. Like they won 10 games. No.
Okay.
Oh, guys, you got to give us a call here, or get your questions in on the text. We are quickly running out of things to argue about.
Look, Duke, everybody said was really good too, but we'd still be embarrassed to lose to them in football. Like
facts.
You can lose to Kansas in basketball.
There's absolute facts. I'm not going to argue with that. And we lost to Jacksonville State in year 2.
Look, we cannot sit here.
You weren't embarrassed when you lost to Jacksonville State? I was embarrassed.
Yeah, but
Kansas.
I mean, I would have been embarrassed by getting, railroaded by Middle Tennessee State in my own home stadium, but nobody was embarrassed by that.
Miami's, those idiots. If they weren't embarrassed by that, they need to take some medication. And we got the head coach as an analyst. We got that head coach as an analyst. Touchdown.
You got turned around.
Destroyed.
You got turned around and you were asking for more. That's how that went. That was like a BDSM episode of something.
Real Master says Oklahoma and Alabama play right before the Auburn game. So those teams will probably win or lose off of the amount of injuries they have from the season. Yeah, there's no doubt that injuries play a big part of it, and that's always tough playing an Auburn team. As we saw this year, no matter how good Alabama is, they struggle with them jokers year after year. So tough spot. It could be a look ahead game for sure as well. But I don't know who Oklahoma has the next week. Hell, they may have Texas the next week.
Oklahoma gets Alabama at Alabama though, right?
I'm not sure.
That's the whole reason I was saying Alabama over Oklahoma. I think Alabama is lucky. I think they're getting Oklahoma and then Auburn at home too. They don't have to go to Auburn.
I wouldn't argue with you on that. Yeah, that's fair. Home field
Yeah.
advantage, definitely fair with the look ahead. I guess. I'm not sure. That's a very good question. I don't know how they're going to handle Texas, Oklahoma, because I think it was always like the middle of the year when it was in the Big 12. So I'm very curious. Let's look at Texas's schedule or OU schedule and see
Now,
when
are
they play them.
Texas and Oklahoma considered greedy and awful teams for going to the SEC, or are we just all good with that?
No, that's just us. That's only Florida State that catches those
I was
negative
just
connotations.
wondering. I mean, is Washington and Oregon greedy and awful? Or is Oregon the favorite love child of every sports network on the planet, even though they have no
I'm just happy the poor guys got to keep a coach for once.
Yeah, me too. You know what? I take it back. Some of the Oregon fans are really nice. I do like some of them, but
They really it was could you imagine if they would have lost Dan Lanning, that would have been tough. Wow,
Yeah.
their schedule website is an absolute freaking affront to human reality. Jesus Christ, you can't do anything with it.
Oh, so Alabama is at Oklahoma. Well, then, maybe Alabama could lose that game. I don't know. I think Alabama's going to lose a couple games in season.
Well, they got LSU the next week, which isn't great, but they also have a bye. So not only is it at Oklahoma, but they have a bye, and Alabama plays Auburn the next week. I think I'll claim this one. We'll see, but we'll see what happens when the season gets here. And definitely on all points. Yeah, Kansas embarrassing, for sure. Yeah. But on to the next. What do we got? We got anything in the chat here?
And
FSU and Clemson.
UCF. I mean, just saying.
What's that? Alabama almost lost to Auburn, who lost to Mexico State, New Mexico State the week before.
Oklahoma almost lost to UCF.
Right, and I said Alabama almost lost to Auburn, who got blown out by New Mexico State, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Yep, and USF. Yeah, it's going to be iffy. They're both not in any kind of power situation, but Alabama definitely has been better. But we just spent 30 minutes talking about what a shitty situation they're in. So it will be fun.
I don't think they're in a shitty situation. I just think they're in a situation that every other fan base has had to go through, and now all of a sudden it's a problem.
I guess that's fact.
Yeah. Okay,
that is true. They have been brought down to reality. I guess that's fair. That is fair. But I think being cucked with a head coach, I totally disagree. I think they're in an absolute nightmare situation. I think they've got a lame duck head coach that's going to be there about a year and a half, maybe 2.
Oh, yeah.
And Alabama's going to run him out of town with pitchforks.
Oh, yeah.
But that's just. You agree?
I do think they're going to run him out of town, but I think he's a very good coach. That's just. I think two things can be the same at one time.
For sure. No doubt about it. No doubt.
I just can see him losing 3 games in season. That's what I'm saying. And then while other fan bases would not run out a coach for that, right?
So basically, he will do everything he needs to do, but them delusional ass fans, no matter what he does, it's not going to be good enough.
Exactly. Okay. There you go.
That's
kind of where I was going.
I feel you. Bobby says he's curious how many wins we think Miami has in 2024. Boy, you are 7. A glutton for punishment, or maybe you just 7. Don't like seeing us argue because 7. Lord have mercy. Jen says 7. Well, I'm going to pull up the schedule and we're going to go through it. Let's see here. Miami 2024 schedule. I just know, I think like Florida, y'all have kind of one of those schedules. It's front loaded, eh? Or back loaded. I don't know. That's not a bad schedule for y'all. Y'all have a pretty nice schedule.
As usual, they always have a really easy schedule and they win 7 games. So I'm still predicting them to lose to Florida. So there we go.
What were you saying though? You said you're saying I have something for.
No, I said Miami always has an easy schedule. And they continue to win 7 games. So let's roll it down. Let's pick
no doubt. So Florida week 1, we've talked about this one a lot. I have no idea. We were both. I think we were both on Florida at this point. I'm just gonna stick with Florida because I hate Miami more. I have no idea what's gonna happen here. But yeah, I think Miami's the more talented team, but Florida has the edge coaching. We'll see what happens. So I'm just going to call that a pick 'em, but I'm giving that a loss for Miami.
Florida
Week
also has
2,
the edge in quarterback because Cam Ward has never played
Graham
with that
Mertz.
team before. So again,
Yeah. And again, Cam Ward, not that he's not a good quarterback, and I
Oh, no,
wanted
he's
him
really
for
good.
myself, but with Miami, it's just a really bad situation for him, in my opinion. But we'll see. Second week, they play FAMU. We'll give them that win. They should be able to pull that one off. Week 3, Ball State. Again, they should be pull that one off. Week 3, USF. How do they like this? This just drives me nuts when I look at these schedules. And it's Miami every fucking year with this shit.
Every year.
And they want to brag. And it's like they wonder why they get like people get annoyed because you're 4-1, 5-1, 6-0, 7-0 because you haven't played anybody. Thank God they got Florida week 1 because then you get 3 FCS teams in a row. Or whatever, Group 5, whatever you want to call it.
If they beat Florida, we're not going to not hear from them because then they'll be undefeated.
Oh my God.
That's what I was telling you. Could Miami be favored going into Florida State? Because their schedule is so fucking
here we
easy.
go again.
That's what I'm telling you.
Here we go again. Let's finish the schedule before we get to Florida State and start the fight. We were trying to get away from a fucking fight. All right, so we've got them at 3-1 going into Virginia Tech. Now Virginia Tech, they're kind of a dark horse to win win half of the conference and make it the conference championship game. I'm not so sure. We'll give Miami that one. We'll give Miami. I don't know. That's tough. What do you think on Virginia Tech?
I'd say give it to Miami. That style of play is very Virginia Tech's offense is extremely amenable to what Miami does on defense. So I would say give that one to Miami.
Okay, that's fair. I'll let you just make that tiebreaker there because I was on the fence. I feel like it's a pick 'em. So there we go. We'll give that one to Miami. We've got Miami 4-1. Cal. Cal comes to Miami. What do you think about that one?
Miami wins that one too.
Yeah, I'll give that one to Miami. So 5-1, and then they hit a bye week, and this is where shit runs off the rails. 5-1, they head to number 22 Louisville. How do you see this one going?
I would like to see how Louisville plays in the year, but I think Miami's defense is really good. I know everybody loves what Louisville's done in the portal, and this is going to get me some haters here, but I'm like I said, I'm going to give it to Miami. I'm going to give it to Miami with Louisville. Yeah.
So yeah, no wonder you think they'll be favored. So okay, we're gonna go through Florida State's schedule next, so we can see that how Jen arrives at this because it does make sense from what she's saying. So I'm gonna say Louisville all day. I'll take Louisville on 10 points. Louisville, I don't think that the coach that they have will like. I just don't see it. It'll be lucky for Cristobal to beat him once as long as he's in the ACC. Just my opinion. I think if there was a bigger talent gulf there, I would maybe do it, but I just feel like Jeff Brom is just too good of a coach, and it's at Louisville, and it's Mario Cristobal. But I will say they have the requisite talent. There is nothing saying they can't put the talent together to do it. What?
It's at Louisville.
Ha!
No, wait. I'm still going to go with
No,
Miami,
I sponsor
Miami,
this.
no.
Flip it. Please flip it because you're nuts.
No.
You're staying with Louisville.
No, I'm going to stay with Miami. I am. I'm going to stay with Miami.
You're staying with Miami over Louisville. Okay. So she has Miami at 6-1, headed to Tallahassee. Who do you like in this one? Or for Miami headed to or Florida State headed to Miami. Who do you like in this one?
Are you kidding? I think Florida State.
Louisville and Florida State are looked about the same coming into the season. They split votes for number one.
I think Florida State is so much better than Louisville. It's not even close, honestly.
I do too, honestly, as a fan. But as far as the country and rankings and all that good shit, Duke, they roll into Duke, so they're going to be 6-2 rolling into Duke.
Now I think they lose another game.
Oh my gosh, that does make sense. Now that does make sense that if they're on a big roll, they lose and it crumbles. But oof, this is a hell of a card. All right, I got them. I don't even know what to think about Duke because Duke lost. That's the Manny Diaz Revenge Bowl. I've got them at 5-3. That's a tough game. I'm giving it to Duke. 5-4. Headed to Georgia Tech for me, and you've got them at 6-3. What do you got them against Georgia at Georgia Tech?
Loss.
So, bam, you're catching up to me fast. 6-4. I've got them beating them, so that evens us out. Now we're both at 6-4. That leaves us with Wake Forest and Syracuse. They got to go to Wake Forest.
All right. So, okay. Well,
just pick one. We don't know shit about Wake Forest or Syracuse.
well, then that puts me at 8 games for them. So I'm going to take the Louisville one away. I'll take the Louisville one away because I do only think they win 7. I'll take the Louisville one away, even though I think that's more of a toss-up than everybody wants to think it is. I think Jeff Brom's a great coach. Okay. I'm not going to say anything else on that one. So I'm just.
Now,
Is Brownlee still at Louisville?
Brownlee's gone. He was just the MVP at the Senior Bowl.
Okay.
He was. Of the DBs, he got the most valuable player. But
wow.
So, are you going to hold on to? And you only said they could possibly. You're not like trying to are you like trying to say you think like I'm putting your saying like what is it? You change it to 7. Are you holding that they're going to be favored over us or no?
No.
Just a possibility.
I said if Miami is undefeated going into Florida State, guys,
oh, that's a totally different conversation.
Favored.
That's you never said that.
Miami, yes, I did.
I would agree with you on that. Okay, well, if they're undefeated, they're undefeated, yeah, well, that's a good chance. Unless we're undefeated as well. I mean, yeah, that's fair.
That's not saying anything. That the media would give it to Miami over Florida State because
the media doesn't set lines. It's Vegas.
I understand how that works, but Vegas sets the lines based off of chatter and all these other things. I'm just telling you that if Florida State and Miami are both undefeated, Miami's going to be favored because it's at Miami. And apparently people don't understand how easy it is to win at Miami. I don't. Yeah, see, I did say it.
It's really easy.
I said it. I did say it. I said it 1,000 times.
No, that's fair. Look, if they're undefeated, yeah. The caveat is that FSU isn't undefeated. That's the caveat I'll put. If we're both undefeated, I disagree. But yeah, that'll be fun to see. If we're both undefeated, though, who's the favorite is going to be the least of our worries. That will be the most hype fucking weekend. Oh my gosh. We'll definitely be flying down to Miami if they're both undefeated because they will have beaten Louisville and Florida. They'll be, let's see, they'll already have a conference. They'll have to be 2-0 in the conference, which is something that I don't know. You have to go back and look and see the last time they started 2-0 in conference play. But yeah, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
All righty.
Yeah, I'm not picking the Miami just for fun. I'm just saying if, just like last year, guys, when I said Florida State, they were going to push them to be out of the playoff. It wasn't because I wanted it to happen. I was just telling you how things were going to go in a certain situation. That's really it.
Facts. William McMillian says he's calling it now. Miami will lose to Cal 40-34. Lord, I hope you're right.
Do you see anybody on Miami's team that can score 40 points or on Cal's team that can score 34? But I do like your inspiration.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the idea is that both their defenses suck, and that's where that comes from. William, what makes you say Cam will be out of the Oh, I'm sorry. That's not the kind of one we put up there. Because he's talking shit about. And Tony, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're getting.
But if you think money doesn't come in based off of like sports reports or the way talking heads talk, that's all part of it.
That is all part of it. That's because who makes the people bet which way they're going to bet?
Yep.
The media and the lines and et cetera, et cetera. I miss Chris commented.
Yeah, he was upset that I said Louisville would lose to Miami, but
Jen has bought into the hype. Yeah, I agree.
I did not
Bam,
buy
William
into
with
any
a
Miami hype.
$5 super sticker. Yeah, I will say that I put I mean, I remember you said that if the undefeated thing, we got pretty far away from that several times, and just kind of the way you defended if it's undefeated, you defended it as if it wasn't that. Like that's not the conversation we were having. So it's fair, yes.
Yeah.
If undefeated, as far as that goes, as far as Louisville, hell no, they're not beating them. As far as Oklahoma, I'm higher on them than you, but that's fair.
Yeah.
You know, just like I'm higher on Auburn than you. You know, one will probably
This
suck,
is
one might be
true.
good. We
This
shall
is
see.
true. He's really obsessed with Auburn. We should send him like some
What?
Auburn sweatshirts.
What? You're the
He's
one
like
that's obsessed with Auburn. Anytime I say one thing good about him, you go nuts. Anyways, come on, guys. Give us a question,
How is
or we're
that
about to
not
cut this
nuts?
thing off. Come on, guys.
It's
We're at an
not-
hour and a half. 850-495-1906. Give us a call. Go ahead.
Can we hate on Wisconsin like they're Miami? Go Gophers. You know, maybe. I don't know.
They're gonna have to do something to us first, Tony.
Yeah,
I
like,
got nothing
they'll have
against
to start, like,
Wisconsin.
calling our phones. They'll have to like start calling our phones like on our Instagram line or our Twitter line like Miami fans do. Like it's wild what they do. It's really crazy.
So I want to address this comment by Spiritix Media because this is what's going on in my head. You read my mind. Miami being undefeated by the time they play FSU will have not going to happen. They'll have a minimum of 2 losses. But here's the thing. On paper, you can have the argument. That's why it's so infuriating. And you know it. I know it. Chris knows it. We could sit here and have the argument all day because there is a chance and they have the players. But just like this year, you know, we thought they were going to be pretty good. They kicked Texas A&M's ass, and then they started like 0-3 in the conference play. I just feel like something's going to happen no matter how good and it lines up. Miami's going to Miami, and something's going to screw up. But yeah, no doubt. If they're undefeated, shit. Oh my gosh, that'd be so hype. And all in all, as much shit as we talk on this program, the best possible thing would be for Florida, Florida State, and Miami to all be in the top 10, and Florida State comes on top every year. That would be the absolute best case scenario. But unfortunately, we've got a lame duck in Florida, and y'all know how we feel about Mario Crystal Tits. And have y'all gone over the FSU schedule? Oh yeah, McGee, like that's it. We did. We got to go over the FSU schedule. We will close off the show with that. We did Florida's and Miami's. Now we got to do FSU's. Did you have a question? I thought you started to say something.
No, I was just saying we should just start calling Mario what is it? Big
Tits McGee? Tits McGee.
Come on.
You talking about off of Big Brother?
Grown ups.
Yeah, Big Brother. It's Big Brother where she's the Hooters chick.
Oh, Big Daddy. Big Daddy.
Big Daddy. Isn't that it? Where he calls her Tits McGee? Maybe I'm mistaken.
No, I thought it was Grown Ups. Y'all are gonna have to tell me.
You might be right. You might be right.
Grown Ups 2 when David Spade has the child that he didn't know about.
Oh yeah, the
Am I crazy? Or is that Grown Ups? Wait, which one am I?
Rob has the one gargoyle of a daughter, and then the one that's gorgeous. Rob Schneider. And then yeah, you're right. David Spade has a long lost daughter. You're right. Yeah. And then it's like everybody's hitting on it. No, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not good with movie references.
I don't know. I think it's Tits McGee is from Grown Ups 2, but I could totally be wrong.
Ain't no telling. It's
Bradley,
probably in multiple.
Are you in here? Are you in here anywhere? He would know.
Alrighty. So Georgia Tech in Dublin. Florida State starts the season off with a W. We're in agreement. Week 2, you come back 9 days later at Bobby Bowden Field at Doak Campbell Stadium, September 2nd. You got Boston College.
When?
Anchorman used it, he says. Maybe that's where it's from.
No, it's not.
Memphis. Week 3, Memphis also comes to Doak Campbell Stadium. So we're 3-0. Cal also comes to Doak Campbell Stadium. Win. So we're 4-0 with 3 home games out of the gate. And then we head to SMU in Texas. Dallas, Texas. Win. 5-0. Here's the fun one. Clemson at Doak Campbell Stadium, October 5th.
I say win.
Win. I say win. Duke.
Oh, please. Come on. Win. We don't even have to ask that. Come
Win.
on, stop.
Miami. October 26th at
Win.
Seminole Hard Rock Stadium, North
Win.
Carolina.
Win. Oh, come on. Matt Brown, I think, secretly works for
This
Florida
is
State. Let's be
also
real.
at Doak Campbell Stadium. This freaking, what am I talking about? We have so many good home games. 1, 2, 3. Yes, man, this is a great home slate. Notre Dame after North Carolina at Notre Dame Stadium, November 9th. I'm calling it a loss. Not in that, like, to be honest, like, if I really sat here and broke down but if I had to pick a game on the schedule, we're going to pick up a loss, and my win total is going to be at 11-1, 10-2. Notre Dame is that one. I could see us dropping that one on the road.
I disagree.
The first week in November.
I disagree. I think Notre Dame is going to be their LSU game from 2023 for them this year. I think they're going to blow them out the water at Notre Dame, and I think people are going to then go, "Wait, what? What?" Thank you, Kevin Lane. It is from grown-ups too. I knew it.
That's like the 9th game of the season.
I know.
I love it. You're talking about a playoff push. If we peak right then, that'd be beautiful.
That's
beautiful.
what I'm saying. That's
Absolutely.
how I can see it going. I think Florida State. I think DJU will.
So you've got us undefeated.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm sorry. Show me a loss that is credible right now, because
guaranteed loss. There
Yeah.
is no guaranteed loss on the schedule. Period. There's no guaranteed loss. Period.
But I'm sorry.
The way you do these things, you end up if you think you're 80% going to beat 5 different teams, that 20% comes around and that costs you a game. So you just
No, I get that, but I did the whole
we're a long ways before the season. We haven't seen spring. We're going to get chances to predict. We're just kind of looking through it. But overall, if you had to pick a game, what do you think the toughest game is going to be on the schedule?
If I had to, I would say Clemson at home.
Clemson at home. That's fair. I'm between Clemson at home and that Notre Dame road game. And I picked the Notre Dame road game just because it's on the road. But yeah, there's no fact. We'll be favored over, we might be favored over everybody. We'll see how the season plays out. If we stumble out the gate, we're not going to be favored over Clemson, and we're not going to be favored over some other teams later in the year. But man, if we go on winning, we should be favored over just about everybody we play, because we're more talented than everybody we play, except for a Clemson, a Miami, and a Notre Dame on paper. That's purely on paper. In my opinion, we're just as talented as a Clemson or a Notre Dame. Even in Miami had some young blue chip players or whatever, but I believe as a football team, we're the more talented team. That's just my opinion, and we'll see what happens when the season gets here. But I've got us at 11-1, dropping 1 to Notre Dame at this point, getting into the ACC title game and making a run, and we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah.
Boom. All right, guys, we're pretty long in the tooth here. We're coming up on an hour and 40 minutes. We gave you a little bit of run of the gamut of everything. We had Coach Goden. If you are just catching up late, go check out the beginning of this episode. Head coach out of Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania's Reading High School. He was super awesome. He's super, super intelligent guy. We're going to have him on the show again when he has more time. But a great 30-minute conversation on recruiting and what it's like from that high school coach's perspective, because it's different. It's a whole new era. Just wanted to thank William again for the $5 super sticker. Jeff came through with the $5 super chat as well. And that's about it. You got anything to let the people know before we get out of here, Jen?
No, nothing really. Just, I guess, stay tuned for Tuesday. We're going to have maybe some good content for you guys. If we have to go live, we'll go live, but we don't have any plans on doing that. We love all of your support.
Why aren't we going live Tuesday?
No. I meant like in between now and Tuesday.
My bad.
Yeah. So yeah, if you We love you guys. Thank you for the support. We're here all the time, but we will be live again on Tuesday unless something else breaks, like I said. But thanks and have a great Sunday, I guess.
Go Noles, baby. It's all about those Noles, and we will see you Tuesday with fan appreciation.